Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number for the record, sir.
My name is David Rushing, 103801.
And you have counsel this morning. Ms. Douglas, would you introduce yourself for the record, please?
Yes, thank you. My name is Emma Douglas. I'm here representing Mr. Rushing.
Thank you. And we'll turn it over to you at the end to close it out for us, Ms. Douglas. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Let me acknowledge others who are here today. In support, we have the Parole Project. Mr. Myers will be speaking. Your sister Mary Patch is also here, and Warden Vanoy will be calling in by phone. He's on the road this morning but wants to participate. We also have from the DA's office in St. Tammany, Mr. Butch Wilson, who will be speaking, and we'll call on him at the appropriate time to do so. So, Mr. Rushing, you're here this afternoon. You're classified as a first felony offender. You are seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in St. Tammany Parish, the 22nd Judicial District, initially in November of 1983 for a first-degree murder conviction. You received a death sentence. In June of 1990, you were resentenced to life without parole. Mr. Rushing, is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. This morning, your case has been assigned to Mr. Marabella. Would you answer his questions?
Good morning, Mr. Rushing. How are you?
I'm doing good, sir.
Mr. Rushing, how old are you today?
Sir,
How old are you?
I'm 59,
How long have you been in prison?
40 years.
Were you 18 or 19 at the time this occurred?
I just made 18.
Let's talk a little bit about David Rushing at 18 years old. How far had you gone in school at 18?
6th grade.
Why did you quit in the 6th grade, and why did you leave school in the 6th grade?
I wasn't really going anywhere. School was pretty hard for me. I couldn't really apprehend, and the teachers was just basically, I kept getting socially promoted every year, and I wasn't going anywhere, and I quit.
When you came to prison 40 plus years ago, could you read and write?
No, sir.
Can you now today?
Yes, sir. I accomplished. I have my GED.
Let's go back to the 18-year-old. Tell me what you were doing at the time. Were you working back in 1983? Were you working at all at 18?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Kinda
sir. I was working on a shrimp boat, and during the off season, we was subcontracting with LAS, hanging on aluminum and vinyl siding.
Were drugs and alcohol an issue with you at all back then?
Yes, sir. A little bit.
Tell me about that a little bit. Tell me drugs or alcohol or both?
Both.
Let's talk about drugs first. When did you first start using drugs?
On my 18th birthday was the first time I tried it. Yes, sir.
And what were you using?
Smoking marijuana.
Did you progress from there to anything besides marijuana?
Yes, sir. I was eating Blue Valiums and drinking Jack Daniels alcohol.
When did you start eating Blue Valiums?
Right after my 18th birthday.
How often were you doing that?
Maybe once a week.
And how often were you drinking?
Basically the same time, basically about once a week when I would get with my co-defendants.
And what were you drinking?
Jack Daniels.
So tell me what happened with you and Mr. Fussell. Tell me what was going on with you on April the 4th of 1983. Tell me about the crime, and I want you to be very specific about what your role is, because it's critically important for you to be honest with us today. Today is the day that I expect you to come clean and let me know exactly what you did, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
March the 29th, I was sitting at home working on my car. I had a 69 Camaro and it was customized. And Jeffrey Purcell had came over to the house and we was talking. He was a friend of mine in the neighborhood. And he was telling me about it. He was going to move to New Orleans and I would most probably never see him anymore. And he wanted to go riding around. At the time, my girlfriend had asked me not to go with him because she didn't like him none. And she went to work with her mother, and me and Jeffrey hung around the house for a little while. And he asked me to take him to his house to get some cigarettes and stuff. So we got in my Camaro and left and went to his house and picked up some cigarettes. And we just went riding around the neighborhood, and we smoked a little marijuana. And through riding around, we picked up my other co-defendant, Leslie Sheridan, and we all three hooked up and we started drinking. And Leslie had gave us some blue Valiums, and we took them. And through the course of the night, just drinking and smoking, Jeffrey had talked about how he was robbing cab companies in Orleans Parish and how he was getting away with it and how easy it was that when you rob a cab driver, you just tell him to give you your money and they give it to you and you get out of the car. So Leslie had said that he had a firearm that we could have, and we went back to Leslie Sheridan's house, and he gave us the firearm that we obtained. And
What was that? Shotgun?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. A sawed-off 12 gauge. And me and Jeffrey left. Why Leslie didn't come with us, I don't really know. But we left and we was riding around and him talking, and he talked me into it. And we went to Slidell to the racetrack service station, and Mr. Purcell called the cab company. And
now, was there some discussion about you guys robbing the gas station?
yes, sir, out on Old Highway 190.
Tell me about that part.
When we was headed to the racetrack gas station, he had talked about an old gas station that was down at in the Old Highway 190 going toward Pearlington, Mississippi. And he had talked about robbing it. And we went out that way, and I believe the service station was closed. And we came back.
What was your understanding you guys were gonna go to that service station and do?
At that time there, Jeffrey was gonna rob the service station.
You talk about him talking you into things, but you were with him. You were with him, you understood what you were gonna do, and y'all were going to a place to rob the place. I mean, look, you're downplaying, that's not doing you any good.
Correct.
If your position is, oh, look, I was just there for the ride and I didn't do anything, or that's not gonna fly. Now, you either be honest or you stick with your story that I didn't do anything. Now, what's gonna be your story?
Oh, I can't justify. I committed my crime.
Let's go. Keep going.
I'm not justifying. I can't seek justification for what I've done. I can never do that.
You go to the service station, and what happens at the service station?
The service station, I believe it was closed, and we left the service station and went down to the Old Spanish Trail to the racetrack gas station. Mr. Purcell called the cab driver, and while we was waiting on the cab driver to appear, Jeffrey was explaining to me how to do it. The cab driver came, picked me up, excuse me, and me and Mr. Archer proceeded to the Ponderosa subdivision. On the
And you
way to
were
the
armed
Ponderosa
with a
subdivision,
shotgun. You were armed with a shotgun.
yes, sir. Yes,
Where
sir.
was the shotgun?
Inside my jacket, down in my pants. Okay.
Why did you have the shotgun?
Uh, well, I can't really justify why I had the shotgun. I was young and foolish.
Understand that, but you call the cab, you know he robs cabs.
Yes, sir.
He called the cab, there was a plan, you got in the cab with a shotgun. What was the purpose of your getting in the cab with the shotgun?
To rob Mr. Archer.
That's
No.
so hard to say?
You cut out on me. I didn't hear you, sir.
Is that so hard to say?
No, sir, it's not.
So what happened? Keep going.
We proceeded to the Ponderosa subdivision, and when we got close to the destination to where I told Mr. Archer we was going, I put the shotgun to the window, and I was going to shoot the gun outside the window to scare him, to get him to stop the vehicle. When I put the gun to the window, I pulled the trigger and the gun misfired. It just snapped. I put the gun back down in my lap, and I'm turning around to see where Jeffrey was. At that time, I'd got scared because I thought Mr. Archer had seen what I had done. And by me turning around, and I kept looking for Sel, because he was following behind us in my vehicle. And at that point there, I'd done gotten really nervous, and the gun went off while it was in my lap. I had my hand on the hammer and the trigger, and by me turning around, twitching, the gun fired, and I shot Mr. Archer. Mr. Archer turned around, and he grabbed me by the shoulder, and Mr. Archer and myself, we fought for a few minutes in the vehicle, and I was able to get out of the vehicle, and I ran.
Mr. Archer was beaten brutally with the shotgun. How did that come about?
I had the gun in my hand. I remember swinging with both hands because I was trying to get Mr. Archer off of me, and I ran. Once I got out of the vehicle, I ran.
How many times did you hit him with the shotgun? You shot him once, and then how many times did you hit him with the butt of the shotgun?
3, 4, some that I can recall. I don't really remember, sir, exactly how many times I actually hit Mr. Archer.
So tell me what you've done while you've been in prison. What sort of programs have you taken while you've been in prison?
I participate in AA. I've educated myself. I got my GED.
Let's talk a little bit about your education. How difficult was it for you to learn how to read and write in prison?
It was pretty hard at first because I was totally illiterate, and I was paying other people to write my mother a letter for me. And my friend Clinton seen this, and every day he would sit me down and read the newspaper with me and help me with my reading and writing, and got me to where I could get in literacy school. And once I got into literacy school, I started progressing. The inmate tutors really took time to help me, and I progressed into literacy. I finally passed a literacy program, and I went to the GED school, and my my tutor was Kenny Woodburn. He really took extra care with me, and I advanced pretty rapidly, and I finally took my high set test and passed.
And when did you get your GED or your high set? When did you pass your high set?
When did I pass it?
Yeah, what year?
It was, you see, 2014 is when I passed my high set.
What other programs have you taken? I've seen you, I see that you've taken Thinking for a Change, Cage Your Rage, 100 Hours of Pre-Release. What are some of the programs that have helped you the most since you've been in prison?
I feel the one that's helped me the most to be able to identify with me and my feelings is been victims awareness, because victims awareness taught me intimacy, to be able to empathize with the people that I've harmed in my crime, to be able to put myself in their shoes and to feel their pain, at how I would feel if my crime would have happened to me or to an immediate member of my family. It's enabled me to become a better man in the feeling aspect, and to stand on my own 2 feet and always own what belongs to me.
What would you say if you had an opportunity to speak to the family of Mr. Archie?
I would like the family of Mr. Archer to know that I'm truly remorseful for the hurt and pain that I've caused Mr. Archer, and to them and all of his friends. I wish there was some way that I could go back and undo what I've done, but I can't. I can only change myself. I hope and pray that someday that would be able to forgive me for the hurt and pain I've caused them, because in my heart, I'm truly sorry for what I've done.
You've had 31 write-ups since you've been in prison. Your last one was in 2002. Have you had any write-ups for intoxication or drugs or alcohol while you've been in prison?
No, sir, none whatsoever.
We talked a little bit about your drug and alcohol use. Do you think that you are a drug addict? Do you think that that's a problem for you, or was a problem for you?
No, sir. It was beginning to be a problem. Since April the 1st, 1983, I can stand before God. It scared me straight. I've never participated in any drug activity or anything since that morning of April the 1st, 1983.
I notice on your record, you have taken a lot of substance abuse programs. You've done AA, NA, you've been in sober groups. Tell me what you've learned about substance abuse as it relates to you. Drugs and alcohol. Tell me what you've learned about that.
Drugs and alcohol is an addiction. It's an escape from reality, for one. I feel that once you're an alcoholic or an addict, you have it in you that you're always going to be an alcoholic or an addict, and you always need to participate in those programs or to be affiliated with mentors, in case you feel pressured down into a point in your life to where you feel that you might relapse and go back into that you would have that support base to be able to contact and pull you back and let you know it's not about all that. Let's move forward. Let's keep it on a positive scale.
Is that something you plan on doing in the future in the event you're released?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've talked to numerous people about the different AA programs that they have in the free world, and I actually enjoy going, meeting new people, and meeting people and becoming friends with them, because I feel a person that's been down that road can relate to you better, and you can relate to them better because you've been in the same situation.
What is your trustee status?
I've been a Class A trustee status since 1998, and I've never lost it.
And what is your work assignment presently?
Right now, I work at the ranch house mechanic machine shop
How long have you been there?
since 2019.
Let's talk a little bit about your transition plan. I see Mr. Myers on the board there, and I understand that you're going to be going to the Louisiana Parole Project. Is that your understanding?
Yes,
Tell me
yes,
what,
sir.
tell me what you hope to be able to get from the Louisiana Parole Project.
I feel going to the Louisiana Parole Project would benefit me greatly on being able to re-enter society, because of the programs that they have down there is designed to help people that's freshly released from prison. A lot of things that I've been away from 40 years, the world has changed, and I'm going to need assistance from these people that run the programs, and they know better than me.
What about once you leave the Parole Project? Where do you hope to live? Where do you want to live at afterwards?
I plan on moving to Woodville, Mississippi. I have a job offer at Netterville Sawmill, and I plan on going work at the sawmill for Mr. Netterville.
Gordon, what can you tell us about Mr. Rushing?
So David, again, as he stated, he got his Class A trustee in 98, was at the dog pen. Been at between the dog pen and Camp F. He worked in culinary for a while as well with Camp F, and then at the dog pen. So he learned a lot about being able to cook for people. He still, to an extent, does that at the ranch house, assists there. Since being up at the ranch house for us in the capacity as a mechanic, has done a lot for us with pretty much anything mechanically that we would need, that his expertise would offer in repair. He's taken a lot on his own as far as with the mechanic shop, because he has not been afforded, because of him being here, the ability for internet and a lot of things being computerized at this point as far as repair. He's been able to work through that without that luxury. Again, we've not had any problems with him, and being up at the ranch house, probably one of the most trusted positions that we have here at the penitentiary.
Thank you, Warden. Madam Chairman, that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Marabella. I don't see any other questions, so we'll move on to those who want to speak in favor. Could we hear from the Parole Project, please?
Yes, good morning. Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We're here to tell you that we're in full support of Mr. Rushing. Should he be granted a favorable recommendation and his commutation is signed and he's eligible for release, Parole Project will assist him in his transition. We'll provide transitional housing for as long as we determine it's necessary for him to make the adjustment from 40 years of incarceration, remembering that he was 18 years old at the time of his incarceration. So we know that there's a road of transition ahead. We'll provide him, our program is designed for this. We'll provide him with the services that he needs. We'll make sure he's connected to those services. We'll make sure he has the mentoring in things like social norms, financial skills, consumer skills, employment skills. While he has a job, Just simple things, just like interacting with supervisors and coworkers are important skills to learn. While he does that there, obviously there's a significant difference in expectations should he be released. So we're prepared to work with him for as long as necessary until we both can come to a point where he's ready to go. Once there, we'll continue to support him. Once he leaves, we'll continue to provide follow-up with him to make sure that he has long-term support. So we just asked this board to consider his long-term record as a trustee, his age at the time of incarceration, the programs that he's taken, the fact that he hasn't had any disciplinary write-ups in more than 20 years, and just grant Mr. Rushing his recommendation today.
All right, thank you. And we also have Mr. Rushing's sister, Miss Mary Patch.
Hi, my name is Mary Patch. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my brother and I. We was raised in a dysfunctional family. And to see, after 40 years, to see him today, he's so loving. I just want to let you know that I'm in full support of David and that I'll do anything that if he needs finances, a shoulder to cry on, a place to live, transportation, whatever, I'll be here for him. I'm so proud today to see my brother as he is now. I'm honored to call him my brother, and he's also my best friend. I'm asking you today to please grant him a second chance of life where he can experience all the new things in the world today. Thank you for your kindness.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Patch. We appreciate hearing from you today. We also have Warden Vanoy, who's on the phone with us. Good morning, Warden Vanoy.
Good morning. How are y'all today?
Good. We'd like to hear what you have to say about Mr. Rushing.
Okay, I've known David since he got to Angola when he came on DeathRow. I've known him since he was a young man and until now. He did, David committed a terrible crime and he could never undo that. But I've seen him, through a lifetime progress and rehabilitate himself to where he's at today. Down the road, if he was able to get some relief, I do have a friend that owns a sawmill up in Wilkinson County. Charlie Neville is his name. I spoke to him again this morning, and he said he would definitely employ. I told him about David's skills and what he could do, and he said he would definitely give him employment upon his release. So, that's what I wanted to say. He's worked around a lot of employees for a long time, in a lot of trust positions. And like I say, I've seen him grow from when he came in as a young guy on death row to where he is today.
All right. Well, thank you. We do appreciate you taking the time to call us today and give us that information. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. And so we have also here in opposition from the DA's office, Mr. Wilson. We'd like to hear from you, sir.
Would you like me to scan?
Yes, sir, please.
Morning, if I can see.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward.
Got a poll in
Kind of
mind.
awkward.
I'll be brief. We submitted a memorandum that was dated October 17th that I think is self-explanatory. The district attorney's office was well aware that this horrific crime occurred when this man was 18 years old. But listen very closely to what he's saying to you, because we're 40 years after the fact, and he is still not telling you the truth. He wants you to believe that this was a mixture of an accident followed by a self-defense action of a robber. He shot this man in the back. If you read the autopsy report, the autopsy showed that the shotgun blast entered the lower portion of Archer's abdominal cavity, collapsed his lung, and perforated his liver. A 12-gauge shotgun blast from behind the blood, half of his stomach and his intestines. He wants you to believe that this man was still able to turn around and fight him to the level that he struck him and fractured his skull 3 times with the butt of the shotgun. And he did not want to bring that shotgun up, those skull fractures, until Judge Marabella pressed him about it. He didn't want to bring it up. He didn't bring it up in his April statement that accompanied his application. And why? Because it destroys this whole accident lot. It blows it out of the water. It just absolutely blows it up. This was not an accident. There was no self-defense involved. When this man was shot in the back with that shotgun, his liver was destroyed, his stomach, his intestines. He was supposed to turn around and fight. That just absolutely makes no sense whatsoever, none at all. The record in this case showed that Mr. Rushing was the one in the back of that cab because he had the nerve to use the gun. And he did use the gun. And he killed this man who will never come back. And that's something very important to bear in mind, because Mr. Rushing got the benefit of a Fifth Circuit decision that voided his death penalty at a time when the U.S. Supreme Court was not recognizing the validity of victim impact evidence at the penalty phase. A few years after his sentence was vacated, the Supreme Court changed its mind. Now, the same evidence that voided his death sentence is now legal under the Constitution of the United States and Louisiana. The Supreme Court changed its mind. He's gotten his benefit. He's gotten his gift. He got his life back. And that is something that no court in this world can give back to Danny Archer. Ever. He's gotten his benefit. He got his life back. He does not deserve a commutation or a pardon from this court, particularly in light of the fact that he continues not to tell you the truth. This was a brutal murder. He shot that poor man in the back and then crushed his skull repeatedly with the butt of that shotgun. They found him covered in this man's blood. Literally, when they found him at the co-defendant's trailer, he was covered in the victim's blood. There's nothing more that I can say to this other than I just think that there are some crimes that you just can't walk back with apology. You can't. But at the very least, after 40 years, you can be truthful and honest, brutally honest about what you did and why you did it. And that has not occurred here today. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Mr. Rushing, before we turn it over to your attorney, Ms. Douglas, is there a statement you'd like to make to the board?
Yes, ma'am. I wrote one out. If it would be okay, could I read it, please?
Yes, please.
I'm truly remorseful for taking Mr. Archer's life. The hurt and pain I've caused Mr. Archer, his family, and his friends, as well as my family and friends, is unthinkable. I can never undo taking Mr. Archer's life. Believe me, I wish I could. I can only pray and ask God for forgiveness and live a life of doing the right thing and always lead by example. Coming to prison at 18 years old was really hard. I had a lot of decisions to make and fast. I was lucky because I made some good friends and mentors who put me on the right path. When I got here, I couldn't read or write. My friend Clinton seen this and every day would sit me down and read the newspaper and help me with my reading and my writing. I got in school, and before long, I was helping other offenders with their homework. I got my GED, and I'm proud of myself for that. I'm the first member of my family to ever graduate. I started cooking and baking at Camp D Kitchen, and after time, I made Class A trustee. I was moved to Camp F, an all-trustee camp, working for Miss Betty. She worked with me on my breads, cakes, and pastries. I got really good. I was handpicked to cook and bake at the K-9 Training Center and occasionally for Warden Kane at the ranch house. My time at the K-9 Training Center was special because Warden Butler came into my life when I needed someone the most. I guess you could say a father figure. He always told me, son, stand on your own 2 feet, own what belongs to you, and if you want respect, you got to give respect. I worked for Warden Butler until he passed away. I started working for Mr. Chad Victorial at Road and Levy as a small engine mechanic. I've always liked working on small engines, even as a kid. Then in 2019, Warden Vinoy moved me to the ranch house mechanic shop. I work on all kinds of ATVs, lawnmowers, four-wheelers, and even maintain the chase team boats and motors. I enjoy working and learning new things. I feel the jobs I've had over the years, the people and friends who have inspired my life, have made me a better person. I'm proud of the man I've become. I want to thank the members of this board for the opportunity to speak today. And I pray this board grant me a second chance. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. Ms. Douglas?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you. I won't take too much more of your time because I believe that Mr. Rushing has done a really good job of advocating for himself. I'd just like to, reiterate to this board, Mr. Rushing has accomplished so much during his time at Angola. He's learned to read and write. He's become the most educated member of his family. And he has gained skills that will help him if he does have the opportunity to be released. But most importantly, what Mr. Rushing has done with his time is learn who to surround himself with, learn whose advice to take and whom to trust. Of the wardens and the staff at Angola, there are thousands of men who they could choose to mentor, who they could choose to call in and support, who they could choose to move into trusted positions at the prison. And throughout his years there, they've consistently chosen Mr. Rushing for those honors. And so it is because of that, because of the hard work that he's put in over the past 4 years, his exemplary record, his incredible release plan, and his desire to live a positive and productive life, if he is granted the opportunity to be released, that we respectfully recommend a commutation to a term of years for Mr. Rushing.
All right, thank you very much. I think we are prepared to vote.
I move for an executive session.
We have a motion by Mr. Freeman, second by Mr. Roche for executive session. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Cheryl Williamson.
Yes.
Evan Roche.
Yes.
Sonny Jackson. Tony Maravilla.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, we have a unanimous vote for executive session. Stand by, will be in executive session to discuss confidential matters. All right, we're back in regular session. It's 12:08 and we are prepared to vote. Mr. Rushing, Mr. Marabella will be voting first.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Rushing, I'm not sure that your recollection of what happened is accurate. It may be that's how you remember it. It may be that drugs and alcohol prohibit you from remembering exactly what happened. That's a factor. That's something that you've admitted you've done it. You accepted responsibility for it. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to hold that against you. I'm going to look at who you are today and what you've accomplished. You were 18 years old at the time this happened. You had a 6th grade education. You couldn't read or write. You've come to prison. You not only learned to read and write, you got your high set. You worked very hard. You got excellent credentials from all of the people at prison who've talked about you. Warden Benoit's comments, Warden Falgo's comments. Your disciplinary record is excellent. You're in a trusted position. You're a low risk You have a good transition plan. Based upon all of those things, my recommendation to the governor would be that he grant a commutation of sentence to 88 to 80 years. That would be my vote.
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. Mr. Freeman.
Okay, no, it was a terrible crime. You were 18 years old at the time that it happened. You served 40 years. You've done your time well, very, very well. They've had no problems from you. You've had great comments from the wardens. You have a terrific prison record. And you've overcame a lot of things. I mean, from someone that didn't finish the 6th grade to someone now that's the most educated person in that family. So my vote today is to be to grant and commute to 99 years with immediate parole eligibility.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Jackson.
For the same reasons, Mr. Rushing, I think you've done very well. You are only 18. You served a substantial amount of time. My vote today would be to recommend a commutation to 80 years.
Thank you. Mr. Rushing.
Mr. Rushing, good afternoon. I was here at your 2017 hearing. And you told the same story that you told this morning. And the story that you told doesn't jive with the evidence presented in the case and the autopsy of the coroner. But you've served 40 years. You've been a Class A trustee for the last 25 years. You have excellent remarks by Warden Bernard and Warden Falgout. So I'm going to recommend to the governor to commute your sentence to 99 years with immediate parole eligibility.
All right, Mr. Rushing, you came in as a young man, Angola. You spent what, 6.5 years, I think it was, on death row. And then you took it then when your sentence was, you were resentenced to life without parole. And there are some who would say that you got your break when you were resentenced off of death row. You got your life back. I do consider, though, what has been said here today, your age at the time of the crime, the accomplishments that you've made in prison. You have demonstrated certainly growth and maturity since that time. I was impressed by the things that Warden Falgout and Warden Benoit had to say about you, and your record really speaks for itself of what you've done and what you've accomplished in prison. So my vote today would also be to make the recommendation that your sentence be commuted to 99 years with immediate parole eligibility. So you've received a unanimous vote that your sentence be commuted. The majority, though, recommends that it be commuted to 99 years with immediate parole eligibility. So that is the recommendation we'll make on your behalf. Sorry to government members. Good luck to you. Ms. Douglas, I did want to mention to you that there is, in our record, there shows there's an old outstanding pending charge in St. Tammany Parish that needs to be taken care of.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's a simple burglary, I believe. So that needs to be taken care of pretty quick.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Good luck to you, sir.